Real estate investing. So I do buy and hold, which means I buy properties, fix them up, and then I rent them out to people because I want that monthly cash flow. So today I'm going to run you through a couple things on what you need to know to get started if you want to do buy and hold. So I strongly encourage you to do so because there's no better way to build an additional stream of income that's also passive, meaning you don't have to do anything to generate that income. It comes in every month regardless, and the tax incentives are great. So a couple things first, cash versus finance. I always finance just because it's a better leverage and use of money, meaning that if I have $100,000 in cash and I dump that into one property, I'm only collecting one rent check every month. But if I took that $100,000 in finance and dumped it into 4 additional properties, I'm now getting 4 rent checks, which means I'm increasing my net monthly cash flow, which is the name of the game. So I always finance. So what do we need for an investor loan? You're looking at 25% down on the purchase price, and your interest rate right now is floating probably around 7%. And you also want to allot at least 5 to 10% for a rehab budget in case that property needs work. So if you're looking at a $100,000 house, you're probably looking at between $30,000 and $35,000 is what you need to get going. So what do I need to qualify for that investor loan? You're going to need 2 full years of your tax returns because the lender and the underwriter need to know that you have proof of income. You're going to need your last 4 commission statements. You're going to need 2 months of full and complete bank statements, including the account that is holding the funds that you're going to use for your down payment, because again, they got tracked to see where that came from. And then lastly, your full credit report pull. So that's the finance part. So how do I identify what's a good deal and how do I know what's a good rental? So I'm going to give you guys an easy equation that you can use. So make sure you write this down. It's YGR times 7 equals the purchase price. And so what that means is take the yearly gross rent, multiply it by 7, and that will give you the number that you cannot pay above for your purchase price. So for example, let's say I found a property that's going to cash flow for $1,200 a month. Perfect. So that's going to be $14,400 in your yearly gross rent. You multiply that by the 7%, and that will give you the $100,000 purchase price that you cannot pay over in order for it to cash flow properly. So yearly gross rent times 7 equals the purchase price. Now, how do we get an idea of what a property is going to rent for? So general school of thumb is it typically should be renting for $1 per square foot. So what that means, if you got a 1,300 square foot house, you should be getting $1,300 in rent for it. If you got a 1,500 square foot house, you should be getting $1,500 a month in rent for it. That's an easy one. Or you can pull up the comps and see what has rented in the area to give you a better idea of value. One of the other things you want to keep in mind is you want at least a net positive cash flow of $400 per month. So what that means is if your mortgage payment is $600, you need to have a rent rate of at least $1,000 a month. So you need to be pulling in at minimum that $400 in net positive cash flow. Otherwise, the margin gets too tight and it can create problems. And then when you're checking out the property, just make sure you check out the big ticket items, the roof, furnace, AC, plumbing, electrical. As long as all that stuff checks out and there's no major issues, pull the trigger on it. Trust me, on my first one, I was nervous, I was scared, and I've never done it before, but at the end of the day, it's a math problem. It's just numbers, okay? So when you're out looking for properties, make sure there's no big issues. Do your homework, make sure you run through the numbers, and it's very simple. I buy this for X, it's going to cost me X per month, I'm going to get Y per month in rent, and as long as you clear that net positive cash flow of $400 a month, buy it.